Fires, fury and forklifts have seen what could be the end of the protest at Parliament. Protesters who have occupied Parliament's lawn for more than 3 weeks were pushed back when a massive surge of police late tore tents off Parliament's lawn, clearing about a third of it in a matter of minutes. Protesters tried to resist, hurling objects at officers before a fire was started in the remaining area of occupation, sending thick smoke across Parliament's grounds.
A standoff never seen before at Parliament. At dawn, hundreds of police moved in on the occupation that stretched into its 4th week, and they came prepared. A helicopter, heavy-duty forklifts, trucks and pepper spray to disperse the crowd. Protesters washing their eyes with milk and striking back at officers with a fire extinguisher and paint.
Early on we saw weapons, we saw shields, we saw barricades.
One by one tents were dismantled and parked cars that had been left for weeks were removed. Metre by metre, police edging forward, reclaiming the streets. A welcome sight for those affected by weeks of disruption, but many protesters are convinced they are the victims.
These terrorist goon thugs, these rent-a-cops, they're wanted for war crimes.
Some in the crowd claimed police brutality, pointing to officers punching protesters.
What I have seen myself, I am very happy with. I think our staff have been extremely patient and extremely restrained.
But any impression of peace and rationality on the protesters' side is increasingly hard to maintain.
Our forefathers have fought for this land, and you don't ride roughshod over it because some girl in a skirt is on a power trip.
Children remained on site today, this young boy facing the front line in his pyjama pants.
Police say their goal here is to clear the roads and restore order to downtown Wellington, and they won't be leaving until that's happened. Though people here are leaving this afternoon, there is a faction that seems equally determined to stick around.
I'm an ex-senior sergeant. I was on the line during the Springbok tour. I've had nothing like this. These people, the protesters, were peaceful.
What's happened today is disgraceful. I have never seen that kind of wanton violence in this country since the South African protests.
Came over specifically to make sure we could get our whānau out who are still camped in there, and yes, till now haven't left, because they're exercising their right to go and say that this is not right.
As this mammoth operation stretched on, police moved from the streets to ground zero, Parliament lawns. Making a push to clear the camp this afternoon, ripping down tents in full riot gear. As desperate protesters mounted a final resistance, a blaze broke out across the camp. A day of confrontation and tension in the heart of the capital with a clear message: the party's over.
That report from Kristen Hall just a moment ago, and she joins us now. She's been covering the protest since day one, including today's events. Kristen, what's happening right now?
Kia ora, Simon. Well, it is chaotic scenes on the outskirts of Parliament at the moment. While the protesters have moved off Parliament lawns here, their focus for the last 3 weeks, there is a heavy presence of protesters, possibly hundreds, out on the streets that surround Parliament. Now, we've heard loud explosions, several of them over the last hour or so. We can only hope that they're fireworks or perhaps